What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. We're here live on a Friday, June 25th, 2021. Another work week ended for most. We got NBA to talk about tonight. Another game to Atlanta, Milwaukee. We'll break that down in the Eastern Conference in just a second. We'll recap what we saw last night with Clippers and the Phoenix Suns, and we'll take a look at the weekend as well here on a Friday. As these shows get shorter, again, only one or two games each day, but we are here all the way through the NBA playoffs. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are presented by Pixwise and powered by FanDuel every single day. Let's bring in our guest for today. It's Ian Cameron. You can find him on Twitter at Babano. Ian joins us every Friday. Ian, how you doing? Good to see you. What's happening?
Good to be with you, Jeff. And yeah, you're right. I know the show's called the Hoops Betting Hour, but you might have to put the word half in before that hour these days, because you're right. With just one game a day, they are shorter shows. But good to be with you, Jeff. I enjoy doing this every Friday. And it's kind of sad that we don't have as many games to talk about. It tells you the NBA and the NHL season is winding down, both of these sports now in the conference finals. But look, there's going to be less of a break between the end of the NBA and the NHL season and when football starts. So there's not really going to be a big rest period this year.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the NBA and all the other sports ending at the end of July-ish. You basically turn the calendar to August, and you do a little bit of your prep. You get, maybe you go on a vacation for a week or something. Then you come back, and a few weeks later, you got not for nothing. August 5th, the Hall of Fame game, which I know a lot of people won't bet that. But, within a few weeks, we're starting to think about the end of August, football starting, Labor Day, college football, and then the NFL. So, it's exciting times, man. It really is. And it's going to hopefully be a pretty normal year this year. Thanks for watching. If you're joining us, a lot of people check us out on the replay. Thanks for doing that as well. Let's get into what we saw last night. And, I got to tell you, I thought there would be, a struggle for the LA Clippers after they only scored 17 points in the second quarter. But they were very good in the third, kind of pulled away in that quarter and won a game that, we talked about this yesterday. And I think on paper you're thinking, all right, well, the Suns are really good. Could they actually sweep the Clippers maybe? But I thought spread is there, particularly, and I kind of thought, this just looks too good to be true. It was a weird number they threw out there. The Chris Paul news kind of magnified it that, okay, Chris Paul's back, and, everything's going to be great for the Suns, and, they're going to win. Yet, at one point they were an underdog going into yesterday, and, they end up losing 106-92. It wasn't particularly close. It was a pathetic effort by the Suns. They didn't play well. They didn't shoot the ball well, only shooting 39%. They were 10 for 32 from three. Didn't really get to the free throw line. I guess the questions are, did Chris Paul throw it off a little bit? I will also say, I'm going to put the game last night under protest. DeAndre Ayton's point and rebound prop should have hit. There was a bull crap scoring issue. Did you see that, Ian Cameron? They called a rebound a steal instead of a rebound. That should have hit. I lose by half a point. Brutal.
Yeah, that's absolutely awful, because it sure looked like a rebound to me, but I don't know how they ended up making that determination. But that game, I don't think I spoke to anybody about, when talking yesterday about that game, that didn't believe that line was a little bit weird. That the Suns were only 1 point road favorites when they've won the first two games. They've found ways to win. They've been the better team so far, and they're getting Chris Paul back. Yeah. And yet they're only laying one on the road, and that line never budged, all day long. So it's kind of a telltale sign. Unfortunately, I picked the wrong part of the game for the most part to take actually, I took them in the first quarter. That got there, but the first half didn't. So I split with those two. I didn't touch the Clippers in the first half, or in the full game, I should say, last night. But they got it done. And look, let's give Ty Lue credit again. A couple good adjustments he's made in this series. He's given Beverly and Zubats more floor time. They abandoned the smaller lineup, which got destroyed by Phoenix in Game 1. If you remember Game 1, he was still playing that small lineup that worked extremely well in the last round against Utah. It got destroyed in Game 1. So he puts in Beverly and Zubats in Game 2. They lose that game, of course, on the last second dunk by Ayton, but I still thought they played a lot better defensively and did a much better job containing Devin Booker, specifically Beverly on Booker, has been great defensively these last 2 games. And it carried over into last night. That defensive lineup, slower pace lineup, game stays under the total as well, which didn't surprise me because, again, when you all of a sudden take Morris and you take some of these other players out and you're putting Zubats and Beverly in defensive-minded guys, you're going to see slower pace. You're going to see more of an under type of game, more defense. And that's exactly what you've seen from the Clippers the last 2 games. So back in the series, Chris Paul not necessarily sharp last night, but look, kind of expected that. You know, they win the 2 games without him. They get their best player back, their leader, and it's like everybody relaxes just a little bit. I think Phoenix kind of did that last night. Although credit to the Clippers, what did they hold the Suns to? 39% shooting. It was definitely their best defensive game of this series, and they're going to need more of that in Game 4. But Monty Williams after the game saying, look, team down 2-0, you've got to expect desperation and urgency. We didn't have the desperation to match that. I still think Phoenix is the better team in this series, and if they bring more desperation in Game 4, I think they'll win Game 4.
Yeah, Tyronn Lue can coach, man. I'm going to say that. I didn't know if he had that in him, but he has, man. He's, I know they're falling down, but they always seem to get back up. Reggie Jackson's been an unsung hero for them. You look at what he's done the last 5 games or so. I mean, this guy's averaging about 20 points a game. He's been really stepping up. Look, he's not Kawhi Leonard, but he's trying to do as much as he can. Look, they're not going to win a game where Chris Paul and Devin Booker shoot 10 for 40 combined. That's just not going to be good enough. Neither guy could get much of a rhythm. And look, when Paul's out for what was he out 4 or 5 games? It's going to be a problem. And though I'm sure bounce back quite easily and everything will be fine. But this is what the Clippers have seemingly done in every series. They lose games 1 and 2. They make some adjustments, come back home, and get the job done in the next 1 or 2. Let's see if they can get the job done in the next 2 like they have done in the first 2 previous series here. Just an impressive game for them. They could have, again, kind of, just kind of hung their head. We don't have Kawhi Leonard. If I would have said to you, hey, you have the prospect.
Had a brutal loss in Game 2. Let's be honest. That was a
Right.
brutal loss. I mean, terrible to lose the game in the fashion they did. Paul George, an 80+% free throw shooter, misses both. Clank at the line with a real chance to put the game away if he makes both of those, because it would have been a 3-point game.
If I said
And all of a sudden, next thing you know, they win it on the alley-oop or the inbounds pass to Ayton, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, if I said to you, hey, you're going to lose Kawhi Leonard, you already don't have Ibaka, and you have to basically play a lineup that you don't really know. Like, you don't know if Terrence Mann or Reggie Jackson can deliver, and you got to depend on Paul George in the playoffs. If I'd have told you that, you'd have told me, yeah, they're not going to win another game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they've defied odds, and they're doing a nice job. So we'll see if they can even up the series tomorrow in that one in Game 4. Tonight we have Game 2. It is the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm going to keep saying it. I will not be betting this series from a side or total perspective anymore. I'm done. I'm done with the Bucks. I'm done involving myself in their games.
I guess I better have something for this game then, right?
Well, I'll have some props, but I've given up on the Bucks. I'm completely washed my hands. I've put the soap on my hands. I washed them for 20 seconds, and that's that. Bye-bye, Bucks. I'm done with you. I'm done dealing with this crap. I'm done betting this clown team. Let's take a look at the game here. Currently, this number, Bucks are 8-point favorites. Total is 225. We're in a similar position to last night. Are we just getting crazy lines with the Hawks? Are we just going to say, you know what? Until they fall off the wagon, I'm going to keep backing them. They not only covered the other night, they won the game as 7.5, 8-point dogs. You look at the game. I mean, Kevin Huerter played well. He didn't play great. You didn't have much. You didn't get anything from Bogdanovic. Trae Young needed to score 48, and he still won the game. Are we just starting to realize that maybe the Bucks just aren't ever going to shoot the ball well again? Because it seems like every night they shoot the ball 25% from 3. Do we trust anyone outside of Giannis to play well every game? Because Chris Middleton hasn't done that every game. I don't know what happened to Drew Holiday. This guy's been a ghost. You look at Robin Lopez. I mean, He hasn't really been a factor. They don't have a bench. Connaughton and Forbes have been MIA. Don't have DiVincenzo. We just kind of thinking at this point that until they lose or don't cover, you just got to play them, Ian?
It's really interesting here. To me, this is one of those games you go back and forth. If you're on the camp of this is a competitive series and Milwaukee is still better than Atlanta, and you believe in the zigzag theory, which is you bet on the team that lost the last game, you take Milwaukee here tonight. But if you think this is a series, and I've seen this before, where the series is just mispriced from the very beginning and one team is just not being respected enough in the number, you could bet that team every single game in the series and probably cash the most of those games. I've seen those kind of series before where you get this favorite that is supposed to be on paper the better team, potentially the much better team, and it just never ends up playing out that way in the series, and the value is consistently on the underdog. I'm leaning more toward the latter, that the underdog is just consistently undervalued in this series as opposed to going with the zigzag and laying the points with Milwaukee. I don't think I can lay points with Milwaukee right now. I just don't. And let's not shy away from what Atlanta's done on the road in these playoffs, which has been absolutely fantastic and magnificent, to be honest. They set the tone early in the first round against New York, charged up Madison Square Garden, amped up beyond belief to see their New York Knicks finally back in the playoffs. And what does Atlanta do? They go in there and they ruin the party, win game 1 on the road. What do they do in the closeout game on the road in game 5 against New York? They find a way to end the series and get it done. I don't have to tell you, Jeff, what they did against Philadelphia on the road in the second round. 3 road wins in that series, including a game 7 closeout on the road. And then, of course, game 1 in Milwaukee the other night, outright win is 8.5-point underdog. This team has been terrific on the road. They've been point spread machines on the road. And there's a lot of concerns about I saw a Milwaukee team that was dragging their feet in the second half. I don't know why that was, but they were missing shots. They weren't getting back on defense. They weren't, communicating well at that end of the floor. There were breakdowns galore. Bobby Portis shouldn't see the floor for another minute for the foreseeable future after what I saw from him the other night in that game. Just absolutely abysmal defensively. Chris Middleton struggled to shoot. They didn't get a lot from, Connaughton, and you mentioned the supporting cast. What happened to Bryn Forbes all of a sudden? Where's he gone? He's disappeared. He had such a good shooting effort in the first round against Miami. Hasn't done a whole lot since then. And look, we thought they'd eat Atlanta alive in the paint and on the boards, right? In the rebound battle. You'd think that's Milwaukee all day long in this series. But here they are at times getting out-scrapped, out-battled on the glass by the likes of Clint Capella and John Collins, who really physically shouldn't be able to match up with the likes of Giannis and others for this Milwaukee team. But because they're tough, they don't back down, they don't give an inch, they are able to hang in there and get their share of 50-50 basketballs off the glass in that rebounding battle. I thought they did a tremendous job, both Collins and Capella, in that regard in game 1. And look, those extra possessions that Atlanta got, because they just basically outfought Milwaukee on the glass, made all the difference in the world in what was a close, hard-fought win for Atlanta. So to me, I'm going to need to see Milwaukee prove that not only they can certainly come back and win this game, and it wouldn't shock me if they do. They should. They're in trouble if they don't. If they go back to Atlanta down 2-0, all of a sudden it's serious trouble. But you're going to ask me to trust them to win this game by 9 or more points in this game to cash a ticket? I can't get on board with that. I cashed in with Atlanta in game 1, and this is one time where I'd be reluctant of buying into the zigzag theory. I think this is a more competitive series than it's being lined. And much like I've thought in the Phoenix series, much like I've thought in a couple of these hockey playoff series right now where there's one team that's just consistently undervalued in every game, that could be the case right here in this Eastern Conference Finals with the Hawks and the Bucks. So for me, it's Atlanta plus the points once again.
Trae Young continues to show the NBA is one of the smartest young players in the league. I mean, this guy has really – I don't know how you guard him, really. I know that these coaches get a lot of money to kind of figure this stuff out, but I don't really know how you do it because, he kills you in the floater game. When you drop coverage, he just pulls up from 3. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do there. He's a guy that continues to just outsmart, I think, a lot of coaches. And look, let's be honest. He's lucky that he's gotten – talk about this for a trifecta of coaches you want to face in the NBA. Thibodeau in the playoffs, Doc Rivers, and Mike Budenholzer. None of these guys have any opportunity to make adjustments. They're not going to stop Trae Young. So do you keep back in Trae Young points totals? Probably, because I don't think it's going to change here. I don't think there's really an option to figure out what you do with him. Do I think they put a little bit more emphasis on him tonight? Probably. And what I think will happen is I agree with one of the commenters. They mentioned Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter's hit his point total in 3 straight games. He's a guy that didn't even shoot the ball real well in game 1 and still had 13 points. I think he's a guy that they kind of defer to if Trae Young is not necessarily involved. And what we love about Trae Young is if he's not necessarily going to score 45, he's going to dish out 15 or 13 assists. So I think Huerter.
I like his assist prop tonight. I do. I like Trae Young's assist prop. I don't think he'll be the scorer. I don't think he'll be even close to, because shame on Budenholzer if he's anything close to the scorer that he was in game 1. That's just inept coaching if you don't find a way to D up him shooting the basketball. So I think he's going to be more of a facilitator tonight.
I don't think Budenholzer has the ability to stop him. I don't know what you really do. But yeah, I'm gonna look towards Huerter here tonight. I think he has a solid game. His point total is 12.5. One of the commenters mentioned he's kind of like Seth Curry. I kind of agree. I think the totals continue to be too low with Kevin Huerter. This is a guy that averages, on the season about 12 points a game. He's a good shooter. He's generally a guy that's around the basket, can get some tip-ins, and he gets to the hoop and gets to the line. So, I'm going to just assume that he puts up – and the good thing about Huerter is – he's a pretty good volume guy. You look at the last 3 games, 15, 18, and 12 attempts. I mean, that's a pretty good thing here, I think, in this game. I think if he can get to 15 attempts, this one goes over. I'm going to lean on Kevin Huerter to kind of be the offensive help here without maybe a 45-point game from Trae Young.
Yeah, the props I like Young over assists. I like that Kevin Huerter prop over points. It makes sense. I think from a Milwaukee standpoint, don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. We've seen this before when they've needed a win. Giannis and Chris Middleton on their home floor, trying to avoid a 2-0 deficit. I think both of them need to respond. And to be honest, I think both of them probably will tonight in this game. So keep it simple. These are the guys that carry the mail, that get the job done when Milwaukee wins, especially on that home floor in these playoffs. So I'd be looking at Giannis and I'd be looking at Middleton over points tonight.
If you're Bucks-centric tonight, Bucks to win, Giannis over 33.5, Middleton over 23.5, plus 330. Not bad. I will continue to talk about also John Collins. Rebound total tonight, 9.5. John Collins has hit 10 or more rebounds in 5 straight games. John Collins is a hell of a rebounder, man. I mean, him and Capella are monsters on the glass. They might be the 2 best rebounders you'll find really left in these playoffs. Very good. And this is a Bucks team that's a good rebounding team, and they're still finding ways to out-muscle those guys. Done a nice job. But I'm going to lean on Huerter. I think his point total is just still too low. I think you are kind of onto something with the Bucks probably win, and those 2 have to, I think for them to win, go over points. They just don't have a ton of options. You look at on the floor, I mean, who do you expect to score on this team outside of those 2? I guess Drew Holiday finally had a
Holiday, but can he do that again? That's the question. That was
Tucker,
definitely. Yeah.
I mean, he gives you nothing. Robin Lopez doesn't give you anything, and they don't have anything off the bench. The problem is they have to play Bobby Portis because he's their only bench guy that gives them anything. So, as far as the side or total, I'm not playing it. I lean Hawks plus 8, but I'm sure this is the game where the Bucks will win. 107-97 or something.
They did have a few wipeouts of Brooklyn at home in the last round. So that's always the thing in the back of your mind. Maybe they can do that again to Atlanta. Yeah. But Atlanta's just a freaking physically, mentally tough group right now.
Let me ask you.
They're a tough team to beat by margin right now at this point in time.
Real quick, do you just say F it and just play the first quarter with the Bucks?
Yeah, you would think early in the game they come out strong, but then I've seen instances like last night where actually the team that won the last game starts strong because they got that positive momentum, and then the team, like the Clippers last night, they came on strong in the second half later on. So that's a tough one. It could be Milwaukee first quarter, first half. It could be Atlanta first quarter, first half, and then Milwaukee roars back in the second half. So I could see either scenario happening. By the way, those rebound props, you mentioned Collins and Capella. I like those. I would bet both of them. Capella, too. Capella, I think his props 13.5. I think he got more than that rebounds in game one. I think he's more capable of hitting that number once again. Those guys are fearless. Yeah, they shouldn't win a battle of physical strength and size over Milwaukee and Giannis, but they are fearless. They're doing a great job. John Collins continues to play well. And by the way, you might be seeing that guy on Inside the NBA 15 years from now when his career is over and he's retired. That guy's got some vocal ability. He's got some promo skills. He's got some mic skills, that guy. Very, very impressed with that interview they did with him after the game the other night.
Yeah, he's an interesting kid. I like him. Couple of things before, and let's just get quickly to best bets. Best bet for me, I'm going to just go Kevin Huerter, over 12.5 points. I think he's kind of the guy tonight right outside of Trae Young. Young is a little bit more involved assist-wise. I think Huerter has a good shooting night tonight. Didn't really have a great one the other night. It was okay. It wasn't great. I'm going to root that one in. Ian, what are you going to go with here?
We'll just go with Atlanta plus the points here. I'll stick with it. I think this is just one of those. This could end up being a series where there just isn't, even with Milwaukee on their home floor, there just isn't an 8.5 point gap between these two teams. And I think Atlanta competes in this game. Don't know about win it, but I think it'll be a competitive game once again. And the Hawks just what are they on the road now? 6-2 straight up and against them. I mean, it's just been an incredible run. And this team, since Nate McMillan has taken over as the head coach, I mean, what are they? They're 32-18 against the spread. Talk about point spread success. They have been just a point spread profit producer consistently since the coaching change. So I like Atlanta here plus the points. Now, I know, Jeff, I got to say this too. There's a lot of people saying, wow, what an amazing coach Nate McMillan is. And there's no doubt he has done some really good things here in these playoffs. But as you said earlier, I think his shine is being increased because of who he's up against in these playoffs. Like he's coaching, Doc Rivers has had trouble the last several years in the playoffs. You mentioned Thibodeau in the postseason. Budenholzer hasn't gotten over the hump. Like he's not going up against Phil Jackson or Pat Riley or Chuck Daly or anything like that from a coaching standpoint, Jerry Sloan. He's not coaching against any of those guys here in the first three seasons. He's done great things, McMillan, but I still thought before this little run with Atlanta, he's had some tough times and some disappointing times as well. He's doing a nice job, but let's be careful with saying he's an elite NBA head coach right now. Let's just pump the brakes a little.
Listen, he's going to get the job going forward, and we'll see what he is next year and going forward. Because that's, again, he's riding the high and whatever. But, he's done a good job. But, look, I'm not going to put him up there with Greg Popovich either. Couple of things in the NBA. The Dallas Mavericks are finalizing a deal to make Jason Kidd their next head coach. According to reports, Michael Finley and Dirk Nowitzki strongly lobbied to hire Kidd. They were thinking about assistant coach Jamal Mosley, who I guess, according to them, Luka has a good relationship with. But, Cuban went back to a guy that, obviously they won a title with that 2010-2011 team. Kidd played for the Mavericks. I think this is a good hire, honestly. I don't know if I love Kidd as a coach. I think I like him as a coach in Dallas. I think with the ability he had as a player, I think that'll work real well with Luka Doncic. Obviously, the key to winning there is having a good relationship with him, something that it seemed that Rick Carlisle had soured with. I think this is a pretty good hire overall. I don't know if I want Jason Kidd coaching the Nets or someone like that, but I think a smaller market, a team like Dallas, I think this is a good hire overall. I guess we'll have to see down the road, but on the surface, it looks like a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Kidd hired by Dallas. Look, this takes away the safety net now for Luka Doncic, essentially. Before the last couple of years, you could have said, you know what, we've had good seasons, but we fell just a little bit short. We weren't able to ultimately win that first playoff series because of a variety of factors. Maybe the offense and that was being run was not to our satisfaction, and maybe Rick Carlisle had something to do with that. So now you make this change, and Jason Kidd's in now. So now if you don't get any better and take that next step, you can't blame the coach now anymore because Cuban has his guy now. Luka has his guy. Luka lobbied for Jason Kidd as well. This is something he wanted. So you can tell who's kind of pulling the strings here. The owner and the superstar player, Luka Doncic, are kind of running the show right now for this Dallas. What we want goes. for this franchise. So now if you're Luka, go out there and get it done. Win a playoff series, win a couple, maybe take your team to a conference finals, NBA finals. Now you can't say, oh, we don't have the right system in place. We don't have the right coaching in place. You got your guy there now. Excuses are out the window for Dallas and for Luka Doncic. It's time to win in the postseason starting next year.
Yeah, I think this is a good marriage for them. Ben Simmons, we talk about him a lot. I want to talk about what Scottie Pippen said about Ben Simmons. If you didn't hear this, I'm going to read the quote. Scottie Pippen sat down with GQ magazine. They talked to him about Philadelphia and Ben Simmons' struggles. Now, it's not that long. It's a little long. I want to just read it, though, to the people maybe that didn't hear it. I watched a lot of games that Doc shouldn't have had him in the fourth quarter. If I give you a deck of cards and I give you a deuce of heart and a deuce of diamond and we're playing spades, why do you keep grabbing those cards when you know you're going to lose in that category? This kid's been this way the whole time, and Doc brought him in and set him up for failure, which isn't true. What do you mean Doc brought him in? He's been there. He's been like this. And you guys know he's been like this, and Doc kept putting him in the game. Yeah, because he makes $35 million a year, Scotty. He kept letting that team do fouls on him, take him out of the game. The Lakers did it with Shaq, and he's bigger and more dominant, probably more fearless than Ben Simmons. Doc made him a failure. Does Scottie Pippen not realize Doc Rivers was brought in this year? Ben Simmons has been like this for 5 years. He's still a good player, Scottie quoted. That's his weakness, shooting the basketball. If you take that away from Ben Simmons, he's got no weakness. That's Giannis's weakness too. But Giannis doesn't mind being humiliated.
Ben's a backcourt player. He's got to be able to shoot for you at some point. That's the big difference.
That's the difference between him and Simmons. Giannis will go to the free throw line and shoot 2 effing air balls and come right down the court the next time and try to dunk on you. If Ben Simmons misses a free throw, he's going to start passing it before he gets to the free throw line on the other end. He doesn't even want to cross half court with the ball because he's so afraid of being humiliated going to the line. That's why I didn't try to make that dunk at the end of the game. He's been doing it all year, bro. Okay, first of all, he's been doing it all year, but he's been doing it his whole career. Why are people continuing to make excuses for this guy? It's never his fault. It's always the coach or the shooting guy or his dad or his mom or his brother or his dog down the street. It's always everybody else's excuse but Ben Simmons. Stop making excuses for this guy. I'm sick of this town doing it. And then I see yesterday they're going to work with Ben Simmons. Well, you know what I'm going to work with? Not being a fan anymore. I'm done. I've had it with these people. I've had it with them making excuses for Ben Simmons. You ever notice it's never his fault? It's always everybody else's. And look, Doc Rivers is not a great coach to me. But again, what do? There's nothing else to do with this freaking guy. I'm so sick and tired of Ben Simmons and the excuses they make for him. It's no one else's fault but his. He doesn't want to get in the gym and make himself better, so he blames everybody else. And then we're gonna win him. They're like a parent that knows their kid is a drug addict, yet keeps giving them drugs and making excuses and saying, you know what? He's gonna go to rehab, I promise. Next week is gonna be different. I'm just gonna give him $20 more. He'll be fine. Stop making excuses.
There you go. And I agree. I mean, Ben Simmons, did anybody believe that press conference the other day with him saying, I just got to keep working I'm going to work at it over the summer. I got to see it before I believe it, because I think there's a much greater chance he's hitting up nightclubs and strip clubs the next couple months in the summer, as opposed to a freaking gym to work on his jump shot and his free throws.
Of course he is.
He's going to have to show me that he's committed to doing this before I believe it.
What? I don't understand why people just think he's going to just snap out of it. He's a mental midget. He just is. I don't know what else to say, man. And you know what? You know what will happen? And I've called this, and I'm going to call it again. They'll throw this out that he's going to get better and he'll be fine. This weak-minded fan base will believe it again. Well, we'll just give Ben one more year. That's fine. 5 years is a charm. And they'll waste another year with the same run it back nonsense. Run what back? You haven't won anything. Run what back? You know what teams that run it back? Teams that win. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know what they're doing? Running it back. Give me a break, man. Give me a break. And this is why people like me, who are lifelong fans of this team, that paid money year after year to watch this team. I was there, from being a little child to 2 years ago. But the last 2 years, including next year, I won't be supporting them anymore in a positive light. Until things change, sorry, basketball life. And you know what? Call me a bad fan. I don't care. But I'm not going to support a team that pulls the wool over their fans' eyes and continues to put a nonsense product out on the court. I'm not going to do it.
They're selling a bill of goods year in and year out. And the goods are that Ben Simmons is going to be better, and we're going to see the real Ben Simmons, and he's going to improve, and it just doesn't happen. And like I say, this is all nothing but this is just words, all right now here, and that we're going to work with him. We're going to get him in the gym. He's going to work over the summer and get his shooting to where it needs to be. I'm going to need to see visual freaking evidence of this over the summer before I buy into a single word of it. And you're right. Run what back? Run a second round exit back? Because that's essentially been where it's plateaued for the Philadelphia 76ers the last few years. You mentioned the Bucks, the other Tampa team too, the Lightning, the NHL. They're trying to run it back too. They're on the verge of maybe winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. They have a chance to do it.
A lot of running it back that doesn't involve the Sixers. You know what Ben Simmons is, Ian Cameron? Ben Simmons is that beautiful woman that she is a 10. She's everything you want. But there's something about her that
but then you get the personality and all that.
Something about her that she's great. You love hanging out. You love getting into bed with her. She's great. But deep down, she's just not good enough for you. But she continues whenever she walks in that room. You look at her and you say, wow, man, I'm mystified by her. She could be so great. But you know what? She just isn't. And it's going to take a something generational to change her. She just isn't. I don't know what that thing is. I'm trying to figure it out, but that's Ben Simmons. He can pretend, he could talk all he wants, but he just doesn't have it in him, man. He doesn't have it in him.
That DNA is what he doesn't have. That DNA to say, I want to be great. I want to be the absolute best I can be, and I will do whatever it takes to make myself as good as I can be and better than the rest. You know who has that in his gut? Tom Brady. Do you know who had that in his gut? Michael Jordan. Do you know who had that in his gut? Gretzky.
Well, look at the guys now. Kawhi Leonard. When he came out of college, wasn't what he is now, but he went in the gym and worked on it. Everyone, you know what I find funny about this is what is wrong with America. I'm going to tell you right now. Literally every game Kawhi Leonard doesn't play. You know what I see on the internet? People clowning Kawhi Leonard because he doesn't have personality. You know what? And it bothers me because I'm not like Kawhi Leonard. I try to have fun. I try to be the life of whatever. But there's one thing that Kawhi Leonard has. He's a he's a killer on the basketball court. He puts his entire well-being into him on the court. He doesn't care about anything else. I would take that kind of player 10 times over that hot dog Ben Simmons, who doesn't give a shit about anything. And it doesn't care about getting better. Give me that guy. Why are we making fun of that guy? I wish we had a guy like that on this team. Ian Cameron, tonight we have the New York Islanders, Tampa Bay Lightning. This is a Game 7 for all the marbles down in Tampa. You mentioned earlier Tampa going for the run it back repeat to go to the finals. I believe they would face Montreal. How about that? The Montreal Canadiens, one of the iconic hockey teams. Big favorites tonight, 172. Is that high to you in a Game 7? Tampa Bay is a big favorite. Do you just flip and say, well, Islanders have a shot. It's Game 7. I'm going to take them here.
Yeah, I think they do have a shot. They do have a shot, but the one thing that always worries you is Tampa Bay is just almost unbeatable when they're off a loss. And, of course, they lost Game 6 in overtime. And in the playoffs, the last 2 seasons, they are 13-0, off a loss in the playoffs. 13-0. They have not lost back-to-back. That is a tough track record to go against. And the Islanders got bombed 8-0 by the Lightning the last time they were in this building in Game 5. And then they rebounded to win Game 6 in overtime at home. But I think they will go in there and give Tampa Bay a tough game. I would only look to take the plus price with the Islanders, to be honest, even with that 13-0 record off a loss for Tampa Bay. And Nikita Kucherov, one of their better forwards, may not play tonight. He's got a rib injury, suffered the other night, so he may not be a go for the Lightning tonight. And I like this Islanders team. When you're down 2-0 at home and you come back and you find a way to win, that tells me you are resilient and you are as tough mentally as it gets. And I think they'll give everything they can handle with this Tampa Bay team. And I think they'll be fueled by the fact that they got totally embarrassed the last time they played in this building, Amalie Arena, in Tampa Bay. So I think the Islanders do have the makings of a potential live dog. I've already got them in the series because I thought that price was crazy at plus 240. And I had a little Montreal as well. I thought Vegas and Tampa were two extremely overpriced favorites here in the Stanley Cup semifinals. So I think the value is probably with the Islanders tonight.
Matthew Barzal scores tonight. 3 goals in 6 games, plus 270. I had it last Saturday. It hit. He scores tonight. He's going to have to score tonight. Kazikis has not been playing well. He's not scored goals. Barzal gets one up front. The kid from BC, Matthew Barzal, scores tonight. Plus 270. A little prop for me. I think I've given out 4 hockey plays. All 4 have hit, by the way, this year.
Well, there you go.
Shout out to
I
me.
know.
Maybe
Yeah,
I should
start
be on the ice guys.
next year.
Maybe I should be on the ice
exactly.
guys. Kick out
so.
Alex B. Smith and put me on.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's wrap this thing up. Always enjoyable talking to you, Ian.
One last thing I'll say
Yes.
before we wrap it up. It's an off topic. It's music related.
Okay.
Happy 25th anniversary to Jay-Z and his debut album, Reasonable Doubt, which was released on this day, June 25, 1996, 25 years ago. If you are a young person out there that claim to love rap and hip-hop music but have not heard that album yet, start to finish, what are you waiting for? Do it.
Yes. Arguably, I will say this might be a bad take. It's a very good album. It's not his best, in my opinion. For some reason, I just grew up loving the Black Album a little bit more, but I think it's right up there. I mean, it's terrific. I remember I got this album when I was like 8 or 9 years old. I was very young. I don't know how I ended up getting it, but I did. I was way older than I guess I was at the time. But yeah, I mean, you can make the case every single track on the album is iconic. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
And when you look back, I guess you don't really think about this. I mean, let's just quickly go through the track listing. Can't Knock the Hustle, Mary J, terrific. Politics as Usual, like perfect. Brooklyn's Finest with the legend B.I.G. Dead Presidents might be the best beat in hip-hop history.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. This song is one of Jay-Z's most underrated tracks. I'm feeling it.
Feel the glass to the top and more, feeling it.
I mean, that's
Feel the legs pushing up on the.
yeah. I mean, just
It is, yeah.
incredible. Couple others.
Wonderful staccato type beat in the background.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
My 2
Outstanding.
favorite Jay-Z
Yeah,
songs ever are Allure, which is on the Black Album. The allure of breaking a law is always too much for me to ever ignore. That song, and then Can I Live, which is on Reasonable Doubt. Incredible. I keep an eye open like CBS. Yo, that lyric, man. Whew.
Yep.
A couple others. Friend or Foe, Cashmere Thought. I mean, this was a great album, man. It really was. And Ian's right. You know, if you're a younger cat, you don't Jay-Z, but you only listen to stuff later. Go listen to this album. Just absolutely incredible.
And do it today. This is the 25th anniversary of its release. No better day to do it than today. I'm going to be doing it later. I'll probably play it a couple of times.
Yes. And then In My Lifetime was a great follow-up album a year later. So yeah, I will always say this. And until really, I think I'm blue in the face. Jay-Z is the greatest rapper in the history of rap. It's that simple. We can give, and obviously behind my shoulder here, where is it? Biggie's here. And I love Biggie. Biggie's probably too.
It's impossible for me, Jeff, to say the best in that department, rap and hip hop artist, because there's so many that I could say, yes, he is the best. He is the best. He is the best. There's a bunch that are in that group, Biggie and Jay-Z, Pac. Anybody from Wu-Tang Clan I put up there and on a pedestal. Yeah.
His discography, just what he's done. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Listen, one of his greatest lines is so integral to what he said. He did a song called Three Kings with Rick Ross and Dr. Dre. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
Yep.
He had a line in that song. It's still, anytime I hear it, it makes like just, and it's not even that incredible. It's just the line is wild. He basically says like ex D boy used to park my Beamer. Now look at me, I can park in my own arena. Like that is that
From struggle to riches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like you literally have your own arena. Like that's what Jay-Z's went from D-boy on the street selling rock to and that's what's so incredible about Jay-Z. Like we have my Mafia podcast, Ian. Next week I'm talking about this guy that like Jay-Z sold crack. Jay-Z went one way and this guy went a way other way. And now he's serving a life sentence and a death sentence basically. But you look at where you went from one end to another. It really is incredible. But stop, Kasim Baker. What are you talking about? Don't say Biggie. Well, I am. Sorry. Just because we have to give out bad takes anymore, and you could just say, "Well, I have a take, so I'm going to give it out, even though it sucks." That's a bad take. Okay, stop. Doesn't matter. Those 2 albums were incredible. Okay, I hate to tell you. Have you ever heard, those 2 albums? I mean, they're pretty. I mean, Ready to Die might be the greatest album ever. So,
yeah,
that's how good Biggie Smalls was, dude. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Ian, let us know where we can find you and what you have going on.
Yeah, Twitter, @Bobano. We've got the Pub Sports Radio, MLB, and NBA shows daily. We have the Ice Guys 7 days a week. Well, not for much longer. We're going to have a show today to talk Game 7 of the Stanley Cup semifinals, Lightning Islanders. But then we'll be doing shows just during the Stanley Cup Finals, the days when we have games next week. But the Ice Guys winding down for another season, but we'll be back next year as well, courtesy of the Hockey Podcast Network. The partnership with them has been great. And, of course, if you're interested in sports betting subscription, send an email to bobano350@gmail.com, and we'll get you going. I mean, CFL is going to play this year, and there's not many out there that do it better than me in the Canadian Football League from a betting perspective. So CFL in August, we're going to have NFL and college football in September coming up. So looking forward to that as well.
Kasim Baker says, come on, man. What do you mean, come on, man? What are you talking about, dude? You do know Ready to Die went platinum 6 times. It literally revitalized East Coast hip-hop. What are you
I can't support
about?
slander against that album
Seriously,
or anything
what
Notorious B.I.G. did.
Yeah, what are you talking about? What is this guy on? Like, are you on drugs, dude? Seriously. Like, I don't even know what your argument is. You're saying that Biggie Smalls is not a top 5 rapper ever because he had 2 albums? Who cares? What does that mean? He died.
His life was tragically cut short.
Yeah,
I think it would have been a lot more than 2 incredible albums, right? Had it not been for that incident.
I mean, there's just some things we don't need to argue, and that's one of them. It's like arguing whether the sky is blue. Yeah, sometimes it's gray, but it's mostly blue. Okay, we don't need to keep arguing this stuff. What do you? And the thing is, the 2 albums that he put out, dude, were incredible, and he put them out literally in the middle of West Coast rap dominating East Coast rap. It's kind of like now, okay? Ian, I don't know how much you follow rap now, but there's a guy, Benny the Butcher, okay? He has literally revitalized East Coast hard rap. He's brought it back. Eventually, I think you got to call him a great, especially during today, because of what he's done. It's not ridiculous, Kasim. In fact, you're ridiculous. You haven't made one point as to why you say this. You just keep saying nonsense. So, we're gonna sun you for it. You agree with that, Ian, right? I mean, you got to sun this guy for this nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen someone that say, "Yeah, that Notorious B.I.G. is overrated. He gives you garbage rap." I don't know if I've ever seen that or heard of that before. But you're right. I can't sign up to that because I think his music is iconic, and what every song he did with "Who Shot You" and "Juicy" and the one he did with "Party and Bullshit." I mean, go on and on. It's just countless classics and bangers that he had back in his day. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get me disparaging the late great Biggie.
By the way, he says that the second album was so-so, which had songs like 10 Crack Commandments. Mo Money, More Problems, Hypnotize, all these.
Which was a Diana Ross sample. I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross was the sample they used for Mo Money, Mo Problems. There you go.
Right. And you know what Biggie did on the second album, Life After Death? You know what he did? He went a different lane. he started putting out tracks for women,
Yep.
right? Which shows his.
Yeah, One More Chance. There was a little,
Yeah.
One More Chance was that little,
He,
female, like little love, not love song, but, a
yeah.
little harmony there. Just a little.
Yeah, it's a little R&B-ish type. Like he
Yeah.
started going different lanes, man. And that's that. And I know that we could call that selling out. But you know what people have to do to get rich and to get powerful and to get famous? You got to do stuff you don't want to do.
And you got to get on radio. And those are the songs that have a better chance getting on mainstream radio. Your One More Chance as opposed to 10 Crack Commandments or, one of the other, hardcore bangers that he did. That's just the way it goes, especially in that era. If you want to get on mainstream radio, you got to have a little bit more of a R&B element into your rap and into your hip hop.
Kasim Baker says East Coast bias. Listen, last thing I'm going to say, Kasim, you're an idiot. A complete idiot. You're a complete
I love my
moron.
West Coast team. I know you got your rocking your LA hoodie there. I know you definitely love your West Coast.
First of all, listen, if anyone's going to, I give
I love my West Coast guys.
Yeah.
Corrupt and Dr. Dre and the Dog Pound
Yes.
and Doc and all that. Everybody. I love West Coast folks.
I literally just listened to. I was just literally listening to Krupp before the show. By the way, Krupp's from Philly originally, but Ice Cube. I love Eazy. I was a huge Eazy fan. I think he's got one of the most incredible deliveries ever. Like, look, I'm not from the West Coast, but I'm not going to.
Can't say enough what NWA did for rap.
Yeah,
holy mackerel.
Like, what are you even talking
iconic?
about?
He started the movement.
This guy is an idiot. You're a complete idiot.
I love my West Coast. It's so I don't consider myself there, Kasim, East Coast biased. I try to be neutral. I try to give everybody their. If you're good, you're good. East, Central, North, doesn't matter. If you're good, you're good. If you spit rhymes, you spit lyrics, you got something important to say, and you got a good beat and great production behind it, you're damn good. I don't care where you're from.
Exactly. All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking us out today. We appreciate it. Check Ian out on Twitter at Babano. Check out my podcast, The Sit Down Mafia History Podcast. Go check that out. Got some big stuff coming out next week. Two episodes next week. Going to throw out a special one as well. Make sure you check all that out. Everyone have a good day. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Hoops Betting Hour. We'll look at Suns and Clippers Game 4. Have a good night. Enjoy your